But this does not mean, and this goes for all of us, that our path to this auditorium on this day was a straight line, or that the conditions of the formations we lead are where we want them to be. You love your country, and we love this uniform, which is why we must do better.
Hegseth accused the current military leadership of focusing more on social experiments than on defending the nation. He called out things like diversity and inclusion offices, identity-based programs, and what he described as gender delusions, saying these policies distract from the real mission, building the most powerful, unified, and lethal fighting force in the world. And when he said, "We are done with that," the room erupted. You could feel the frustration, not just from him, but from every veteran, soldier, and citizen who believes the military should be about strength, not slogans. But here's the deeper question: is Hegseth wrong to demand a course correction? Or are his critics right that the military needs diversity to represent modern America?
We just have to be honest. We have to say with our mouths what we see with our eyes. To just tell it like it is in plain English. To point out the obvious things right in front of us. That's what leaders must do.
Think about it. Can an army that fights for freedom afford to ignore fairness within its own ranks? Or has the push for inclusion gone so far that it's actually dividing the very people who must stand shoulder to shoulder in battle? He claims that the military's focus on DEI and social programs has shifted attention away from combat readiness. To him, it's not about hate or exclusion, it's about survival. When the mission is war, he seems to say, there's no room for politics in the barracks.
We cannot go another day without directly addressing the plank in our own eye, without addressing the problems in our own commands and in our own formations.
Hegseth wants soldiers trained for victory, not diversity seminars. He wants generals talking about strategy, not gender ideology. And to a growing number of Americans, that message makes sense, especially at a time when the world feels increasingly dangerous. But let's not ignore the other side. DEI supporters see things differently. They argue that a diverse military is a stronger military, that inclusion creates trust, respect, and unity in the long run. They say ignoring social issues doesn't erase them, it only hides them until they explode. To them, DEI isn't a distraction, it's progress. A military where everyone feels valued is one that fights harder, stands taller, and stays loyal when the pressure hits.
This administration has done a great deal from day one to remove the social justice, politically correct, and toxic ideological garbage that had infected our department, to rip out the politics. No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusions. No more debris. As I've said before, and will say again, we are done with that shit. I've made it my mission to uproot the obvious distractions that made us less capable and less lethal. That said, the War Department requires the next step. Underneath the woke garbage is a deeper problem, and a more important problem that we are fixing and fixing fast. Common sense is back at the White House.
Hegseth drew a clear line between what he calls politically infected leadership and a new era of clarity where decisions are made not to please activists, but to protect the nation. President Trump expects it, he said, making it clear that restoring focus and discipline in the military isn't optional. It's an order from the top. His words hit like a rallying drumbeat for those who feel that somewhere along the way, America's armed forces became a testing ground for ideology rather than a shield for freedom. And here's where it gets deeply personal. Hegseth brought the issue home by invoking his own son. Would I want my 15-year-old to serve in the kind of formations we're building today? He asked. That single question pierced through the politics and hit at the heart of the issue. It's not just about uniforms and policies, it's about trust. If a father, a veteran, and a leader like Hegseth hesitates to send his own child into the system, what does that say about the institution's direction? It's a question that every parent, every American can feel in their gut.
Making the necessary changes is actually pretty straightforward. President Trump expects it. And the litmus test for these changes is pretty simple. Would I want my eldest son, who is 15 years old, eventually joining the types of formations that we are currently wielding? If in any way the answer to that is no, or even yes, but, then we're doing something wrong. Because my son is no more important than any other American citizen who dons the cloth of our nation. He is no more important than your son. All precious souls made in the image and likeness of God. Every parent deserves to know that their son or their daughter that joins our ranks is entering exactly the kind of unit that the Secretary of War would want his son to join.